I'll tell you about the 12 days of Christmas, homeboy. Hey, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a 40th episode, Big 4-0, of a Week Ahead News Show, starring Liam, my good friend Tommy.
Hello, everybody. Good to be back. Crazy to think we've been doing this for 40 weeks, but it's been a good time, and I'm happy to be here to talk about the news.
It's currently Monday, December 8th. I hope everyone's having a great Monday. Cold one today. High was 25, low was 15. We have 4 more days, almost there till Christmas. 3 more weeks. We got this, guys. Currently Monday, December 8th again. Tomorrow, Tuesday, it'll be cloudy. Low of 12, high of 33. Wednesday, we'll get sleet. So basically, a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain. Low of 27, high of 39. Thursday, partly cloudy. Low of 22, high of 27. Friday, cloudy. Low of 16, high of 29. Saturday, sleet again. 1 second. Sorry. Low of 18, high of 28. Sunday, sleet. And Saturday was a 55% chance. Sunday's a 60% chance of sleet. Low of 13, a high of 20. Next Monday, partly cloudy, low of 13, high of 27. Air quality's been pretty good here recently at 32. We had some crazy winds past couple days, but not really much today. UV index been low because not much sun right now. Not much precipitation. Humidity's at a 61. Dew point's about 7 degrees right now. For the moon, we're at a warning gibbous. I kind of forgot to keep doing this for a while. Illumination 78%, moon rise 9:08. Sorry, 9:06 p.m. Our next full moon's in 26 days. We missed a full moon last week. First light today was at 7:04 a.m. Sunrise today was at 7:35 a.m. Sunset today was at 4:54, even before 5. Last light is at 5:24 p.m. Total daylight about 9 hours and 18 minutes. Horrible. We're at one of the lowest points for it, so that's very fun. Literally the lowest point. It gets a little bit better in January, so we're almost there, guys. Not too bad. I'm pretty sure that is it. Precipitation. Let's talk about Wednesday and let's see what we're trying to get. We're looking to get here this coming Wednesday. If you're driving, total for the day with some snow is about 0.4 inches. About 12 a.m. early in the right when the day starts. We're gonna have some light and moderate snow and rain. A little bit of ice before 6 a.m. So be careful for that too. Make sure your roads are plowed. And from 6 a.m. from basically 3 p.m. we're gonna have some sleet. And then some snow again at 6 p.m. So it's gonna be kind of up and down. How it's gonna be raining. A lot of stuff happening. Did it break it down too? That'd be interesting. Let's see. Sorry about that. 1 second. Yeah, so the precipitation totals, that's kind of cool. Snow will be less than an inch. Wintry mix or sleet will be about 0.35 inches, with rain being about 0.05 inches. So on Wednesday will be less than 1 inch of snowfall and a total of 0.4 of liquid equivalent precipitation. That's some fancy stuff. What the heck, Apple? God dang, thank you for that. Tommy will be going in for stocks from the last 5 days, or how we do it all of last week, because they take the weekends off because they lazy. And we're going to have stocks above us as well for today. Once they reload, we'll see what they're looking like. Oh, hi, Momo.
Yep, stocks are holding steady. Dow's for over the past 5 days, Dow's up 374 points. S&P 500's up 58 points. Nasdaq's up 405 points.
Yeah, nice. Minor losses today. Like last week, and normally when we do this show, like we see like 0.5 to 1.5 losses. These are like 0.2 to 0.5 losses. So they must have not hated the Monday as much this week. You know how them stockbrokers be. They must have had the good booger sugar this week or something to help them do better. I don't know. Something brightening the mood. So we'll have to see. We'll quick go into, I kind of forgot about this, a funny topic. I need to keep watching it, but I've been watching so much racing during the weekend. I don't like staying too much up on Saturday, staying up late on Saturday. But SNL and recent politics, because I've seen a lot of clips from it. And we talk a lot about South Park, which is more of the animated style of it. And South Park's kind of, and not really kind of, they're more on the nail and more, I guess, not gruesome, but like, they swear a lot more. They have a lot more, sometimes gruesome or just nasty stuff in their animation that you can't really do in a live skit as well. But I kind of always had respect for how SNL's run, just from being a live show and obviously just for tradition and all the skits behind it. Staging behind it, the theater behind it is kind of cool. I always like trying to watch it when I can. But they've been roasting the White House, Pete Hegseth, everyone. It's been awesome, so it'll be pretty cool. On the premiere of season 51, the cold open featured comedian Colin Jost playing Secretary of Defense, turned Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, blasting through a hyper-masculine rant-filled speech, a satirical take on recent real-life Hegseth address to military leaders in the U.S. And kind of we're going to be talking about Hegseth a lot tonight, so that'll be interesting as well. This one's going to be light, but for the rest of us, it's going to be kind of serious, so that's going to be interesting as well. Because Pete's just a joke to me, so I love him. He's been in the last episode of South Park, so we talked a little bit about that. I love seeing him get mocked because he deserves it. He has a lot of issues. An alcoholic, I can go on and on. So suddenly President Trump, played by James Austin Johnson, and interrupts. So funny to watch. The sketch hits political hot buttons, U.S. Military policy, free speech, and government overreach, all wrapped in comedic exaggeration, which we've seen a lot from South Park. South Park, I guess, would say is they do it way more. They exaggerate way more in certain aspects of this for funniness, and not really like. That's not serious. It's just South Park, I feel like, is just so much better at the comedy. Sometimes you can be with anime, like animated stuff. I always loved Robot Chicken for that reason. So, interesting stuff. The reactions and some quick fallout for Cold Open drew immediately backlash from the White House. A spokesperson admits the speech, saying responding would be like watching paint dry among the public and media. Reactions are mixed. Some praise SNL's willingness to tackle controversial topics of satire, kind of like South Park. Others say tone feels over top or repetitive, especially given how frequently the show skewers from the political figures But also, I would say like for Trump, this is Trump's second term, so a lot of times, like even when Biden was president, they made fun of Biden. Since Biden was only president for 4 years, we'll get in 8 years of Trump. We're gonna get more of that. They made fun of Obama a lot. One thing I always loved about a lot of these people, and you see it on the left, is like they are good at attacking their own. They might not be, it might not be perfect 50-50, but even like all these comedians can kind of do it. So sketch mirrors real life tensions, criticism of military actions with recent Venezuelan Volkswagen controversy, which we'll also be talking about, is fresh and diversive. SNL uses humor to reflect public unease, and they always say like that's a good thing too, to help out, like just help if your public's there's a lot of public unrest and divisiveness would probably be the better word. Um, Sometimes comedy is better. It underscores ongoing debate around free speech, media satire, political accountability, especially amid the moves of the administration that target late night TV and critical comedy. So it's cool to see it's a cultural movement that captures how satire comedy continues to shape public discourse over power, public policy, and the press. And that's some of it too. Like, and one of the reasons why I like late night people and kind of why I like this is that a lot of times, like if you're a middle class American, like life's hard. So like sometimes if you could watch the news and it's not just always hard, that's good. And it's not like we need to watch squirrels on jet skis like Anchorman takes it. It's just like you could tell us for news. It's like throw some comedy in there. I always like that. What's your take, Tommy?
Um, so Pete Hegseth is just a joke. Like with you know, he's just a man who is just fundamentally unqualified to hold the position that he has right now. And what we're seeing and what we're going to be talking about a lot today on this show is the real world consequences of that. So no, it's just I think it's just absolutely insane, what we're dealing with right now with Pete Hegseth. But make no mistake, the fact that he's even assumed this role as what the Secretary of War, should I say it, is just laughable because a man like that, should not be in charge of the Pentagon. So just crazy. For South, for SNL, man, I'll be honest. I don't think SNL's been good in years. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I agree with
That's
that
my
too.
take.
No, yeah, I agree.
So there we go.
No, I agree. But like, I kind of give them like that easy way of out, which is just that, like it's live comedy written every week. It's not gonna be that good. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
No, and I give him a lot of credit. Any sort of um, performer, journalist, etc. That's willing to use their platform, to call out, authoritarianism, to call out the evils of the Trump administration, is it's definitely commendable. I'm not staying up till 11 to watch it though.
No, I agree. And that's a nice part about streaming. But like, I'll be fair. Like, there has been funny sketches throughout the years on both sides,
There
which
has
I've
been.
liked.
Uh,
Yeah. So like, I mean, that's gonna be everything nowadays. It's kind of hard, but I still kind of like it. Kind of depends. I like Colin Jost a
I think
lot.
South Park. I think South Park's, they really hit the nail on the head there with their political satire. A
Yeah.
lot of the SNL stuff I think is a
Yeah.
little cringe.
Yeah, I agree. But like, I kind of feel like it's like different. It's like apples to oranges. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get
Because
that.
South Park used
I
to be
get
every
that.
week, but now they're knocking their feet off, just saying we'll do every other week, we'll do every other 3 weeks. So it's I kind of like South Park a lot, but it depends. Now, growing up, my favorite show was Robot Chicken, so both of these shows could take a backseat to that.
Yeah.
If you want to watch a good show, watch that. Tommy will be going on to a national topic one. Make sure if you're enjoying the content, drop a like. We really appreciate it. It helps us out here. We have a Facebook in the description. If you follow us on there, like all of our posts, share them. That really helps us out as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell to the bottom right if you want to be notified for us anytime we're live. It'll pop up on your phone just as a notification. It won't like take over your phone, but you can click on it and join us. Awesome to see. Tommy going on to national topic one.
Yeah, so our national topic one is the U.S. military drug boat strike that occurred on September 2nd. So on September 2nd, the U.S. military launched a strike on a suspected drug trafficking boat operating in the Caribbean. The boat was allegedly run by a cartel designated by the U.S. as a, quote, narco-terrorist organization, whatever that means. After the first strike, U.S. intelligence assessed that there were still survivors in the water who had not died in the initial attack. Despite that, the military carried out a second follow-up or double tap strike on the same vessel, killing the remaining crew members and sinking the ship. The total death toll from the vessel was reportedly 11. The second strike appears to have been authorized at high levels. Orders from the top reportedly directed that everybody on board must be killed, which is just completely insane. So, of course, that this raised a lot of legal and ethical controversy. So, the follow strike sparked serious legal and ethical questions. Critics argue that targeting survivors potentially incapacitated and not posing an imminent threat may violate the laws of war. P.S. It does. It does. It's not a may. It does. It violates international humanitarian laws and U.S. war crime standards. So, some senior U.S. defense law experts reportedly concluded that such a strike could amount to a war crime, especially if those targeted were deemed out of the fight or shipwrecked. The operation and its legality have drawn political backlash. Lawmakers from both parties are calling for oversight, transparency, and a full investigation. So, yeah, this is absolutely insane to me.
And
So
also,
first off,
real quick, I don't know if you saw Hegseth. Do you see the meme Hegseth posted
yeah, I did with
with Franklin?
the turtle. Yeah, no, that's crazy. So
Mm.
first off, I don't even buy the fact that this was a drug running boat. I was listening to some people speak on this. Uh, what sort of drug running boat has a dozen people on it? Like, each person that is, given a spot on a boat is, one is less area that they could actually move their cargo. So
And more
the people that
liability.
are
Yeah,
experts on,
more risk.
you know, the people, the people that were listening to speak on this, they were saying, um, having a dozen people on a drug running boat doesn't really match, but it does match, with a boat full of migrants, for instance.
Mm.
So it's very questionable if we even struck a drug running boat to begin with. But let's say
Mm.
that we did strike a drug running boat. We'll give them that for the sake of argument. International law it's very clear. Like, when someone is out of the fight, when they're taken out of the fight, you can't just go in there and double tap them. And when someone's shipwrecked, you actually have an affirmative duty to rescue somebody at sea because they're in the middle of the ocean. Seemingly, they couldn't be rescued by anybody else, or certainly be a lot less likely. So
Mm.
the fact that the Trump administration is taking these sorts of actions in the Caribbean that very well, very likely are if the facts are being presented, if the facts presented are accurate, it seems very likely this is just an outright war crime. It's something that um is really truly disturbing that the Trump administration is doing, and certainly people like Pete Hegseth, who may have issued that order, kill everybody, in violation of international law, needs to be held accountable. So no,
Yeah.
I just think it's absolutely I'm horrified about what's sort of transcribing um in the Caribbean.
It's so crazy to me too,
What do
because
you
it's like Tommy, like they're assuming that even if these were drug smugglers, they're literally giving the drugs to the Americans, forcing them in their mouths. This like isn't solving no issues. You don't fix the issues of people being addicted to drugs by blowing up every boat in the Caribbean. Every boat that you think
right,
is. It's sad. It says after like U.S. intelligence knew there were still survivors, and they still said hit them,
right.
which is crazy. Like Tommy's saying, it's definitely a war crime in my eyes. I always like say, if you can't shoot someone escaping out of an airplane, going up in a helicopter, coming out of a helicopter. There's certain things, and people just don't know that you can't do. I'm not in the military, but people in the military know it, and that's one thing that they definitely get trained on before they go in, because obviously we don't want people doing this. But It's sad. Like are they just gonna say that like, oh, since we thought they were terrorists, that like it makes no sense. We could double tap them. That makes no sense to me. It's crazy. It
Right. And that's even assuming that they are drug smugglers. You know, it seems more likely to me that they're not even drug smugglers.
and
You know what I
how
mean?
could you
And,
know
and
that with intelligence? It's just like satellites and
right,
like it might not even be audio. It might just be like them. They're like, oh, with this infrared satellite, we see them moving boxes
right,
onto this boat in a certain way. They might be drug smugglers. Like we should do it, even if we are gonna go after them. Do it how we used to. Pull up on a boat, bigger boat with bigger guns, and protection, armor on the guys, and say, hey, surrender, or it's about to go bang bang boom boom, because like then you find out if there actually are this stuff. It's crazy to me. Also, you need people
you
that
know,
speak their language on that boat. But go
and that
on.
provides a motive, for the government to, want to not leave survivors. What if they are not drug smugglers and they're migrants? You know what I mean? That's going to cause a lot of problems for the Trump administration. If they have to take in, a poor farmer or someone who's, running away from violent crime, if they have to take them in as a prisoner of war, for instance, and it's going to be a lot harder for them to argue that they're fighting drug boats in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I
So
see. That makes sense
so
too.
that
Yeah.
that that may be a reason, why that this action was taken, and like what you were saying, um, of course it's bad when drugs flow in the United States, but is it truly an appropriate use of the United States military to fight, um, what seems like, a to fight like what seems more like a law enforcement, type campaign?
Hmm.
It's
And not
the
even
whole
that.
thing's just strange.
Like fixing the drug issues is more than just stopping the drugs from coming in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
if we don't fix the root stems issue, like first issues at the stem, they're always going to be drug smugglers. That's been Taylor's time. Some of them has gotten help by some of
Absolutely.
people in the U.S. So it's crazy. Um, and like Tom, oh, I was also thinking this is the freaking administration that has said there has been zero border crossings since Trump has been president. That is literally impossible. I'm sorry. I don't care if you had RoboCops at the border and we had the Berlin Wall, like in Call of Duty Black Ops, that shot you down whenever you got by it. People would still get by somehow. So them saying that there's zero, one thing that means they're lying to people about these people coming in. And if they're lying to people about them coming in, does that mean that they could just kill them easier? Easier and do stuff like this? It's scary to me. Like it's interesting that there's blatantly lie to people, and there's people that believe that, Tommy. They're like, there's been a
Oh yeah.
99% decrease in border crossings. I'm like, that is just impossible. I'm sorry, it really is.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And certainly addressing the root causes of drug addiction is way more important and would be way more consequential to actually resolving the opiate epidemic that is present in the United States, and especially, in our area. I believe that what drives people to addiction is largely, internal suffering, and
Yeah. So like internal suffering
if
due to
some
like
way,
social economics like issues, or maybe even like
yeah,
personal issues,
yeah.
family issues. Yeah, so many things. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if we were able to, address those issues for more of our citizens, that would certainly be perhaps more effective than bombing speculative drug boats that may or may not even be drug boats that may or may not even be heading into the United States.
Mm. It's just crazy. Wow. It blows my mind. And like, we know a lot of this fentanyl is coming in from China from cargo. It's not like Trump's like, well, I'm making customs check every cargo container that comes in. Instead of checking 5%, I'm increasing that, or whatever it is. It might even be 1%. We're increasing that to 10 to 15. No, it's like BS like this. It's just crazy. And hopefully history sees this as a war crime and they prosecute him for it as a war crime. But we'll see. How Trump is, how authoritarianism coming, might be crazy. But any time in history there's a authoritarianism, maybe not every time, but a lot of times, there's always been justice at the end. So we'll see. I can go into local topic one if you're good, Tommy. But if you have any other input, that's
Sounds
fine too.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
ready.
All right, let's go. Mike DeWine actually doing something we thought he wasn't going to do. Local 1, DeWine vetoes teen work law. That's crazy. What happened? The veto of a teen work bill. DeWine vetoed Senate Bill 50 Wednesday night, blocking a change that would allow 14 and 15-year-olds to work to 9 p.m. all year round, including school nights. Sweet Jesus, we already got dumb kids. Let's make them work more to be more dumb. Under current law, Ohio law, 14 and 15-year-olds can work only until 9 p.m. during the summer or on school holidays. On school nights, their work hours must end earlier, by 7 p.m. The bill passed both chambers of the Ohio legislature, crazy, Senate early in the year, party line vote, and the House last month. DeWine's reasoning in his statement: in the veto message, DeWine said it was unwise to allow 14 and 15-year-olds to work late on school nights. He said he saw no compelling reason to deviate from current law. And maybe, this is crazy, maybe our boy Jim Tressel actually spoke to him about this, and DeWine actually listened. That would be nice. Jim knows a little bit about education, not too much, and most about football and dicking around. But if he has smart people as lieutenant governor in his ear saying, hey, at least smart in education, this is fucking dumb. He argued the existing regulation strikes the right balance between giving teenagers work opportunities and ensuring they have time for schoolwork and rest. Yeah, I agree with that too. Rest is a big thing, especially while they're developing. Supporters of SB 50, such as business groups, obviously as an example, hospitalities and service sector, argued the bill would help address labor shortages by giving employers and teens more schedule flexibility, which is crazy. Teens should be allowed to work, but they shouldn't be allowed to work too late. Opponents and the governor raised concerns about potential negative impacts on teen education, sleeps, and well-being, kind of like I said. Because the bill was vetoed, Ohio's existing child labor law remains in place. For it to become the law, the legislature would have to override the veto, which requires 3/5 majority in each chamber. And they already got a party line vote in one chamber, and 3/5 is 60%, and that's a little bit over 50% or 51%. So easy maths. There was also a compelling resolution, Senate Concurrent Resolution 3, passed by lawmakers, urging U.S. Congress to amend the federal law, the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, to allow 14 or 15-year-olds to work until 9 p.m. Kind of crazy, blah, blah, like during school year nights with parental consent, but that resolution cannot override the governor's veto. And that's something too, like, even though I do believe, parents have the right to their kids, that doesn't mean that every parent's going to make the right choice for their kids. And you notice Tommy probably working in the courts, especially here in Ohio, we have had some parents do horrible things. So sometimes they might not make their best choices with work or stuff like that. So, like, if I don't really feel like the parent should matter either. There should be something that the government should say, well, your kids shouldn't work till 9 anyway. They have school at 7 in the morning. So what it means for teens, employers, and policy: teens under 16 in Ohio cannot legally work past 7 p.m. on school nights, like I said before, maintaining protections for their schooling and rest time. Employers, especially in industrials relying on younger workers and evening shifts, will continue to face staffing constraints. Maybe pay them a little bit more, or we could just shift the culture. There's a lot of issues here where we could fill in jobs like that, and we're deporting a lot of people too that sometimes work these jobs too. The debate reflects broader tensions, balancing economic demand and flexible scheduling versus protecting minors' welfare, education, and development, which should always be number one over their little capital gain of working at the Dairy Queen or the game store. I mean, my first job was at McDonald's, and then I worked in IT for a little bit, but I mean, I get it. I'm pretty sure when I worked at McDonald's when I was 16, they still made me work till 7 for some reason. So it's nice. I get it. You should allow kids to focus more on school, because sometimes it's hard. They got sports too and working. So what you think, Tommy?
So the Republican solution to the affordability crisis is child labor. Like, it's completely ridiculous. So this was decided in 1938 with the Fair Labor Standards Act. Republicans in Ohio are like, hey, maybe this 1938 law that was established by FDR and has worked very good for nearly 100 years, maybe we should change that because we want to cut taxes for the rich. Like, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. I'll be blunt. Republicans in Columbus, they're asshole. they want to send your kids to work so they can, cut taxes for the rich. It's just a disgrace. Now, you know, bravo to the governor, Mike DeWine actually doing something good. Actually saying that, hey, your kid's got to go to school. Your kid needs time to do their homework. That your kid needs time to, study so they can actually, learn skills that actually improve their lives versus just being a minimum age wait laborer for the Walton family, for instance. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy. It's
Breaking their
crazy.
backs, loading
The
pallets.
fact that a law like this even passed both houses of the Ohio State House is in itself a tragedy.
Like Ohio,
Like
Ohio, a
it
place
is,
that has like horrible pasts with steel unions, steel workers, and like
you know.
Teamsters. There's a ton of different type of workers. There's a reason why that
And
happened.
let
And
me
I was also wondering, Tommy. It's like it's a 1938 law. Like that is old. Doesn't mean it's bad, but I'm guessing they've like amended it or added to it too. So it's not like
yeah.
it's an old law. So like there's things that do matter in this bad boy.
Do you think like Republican politicians in Columbus are like, hey, 14-year-olds, they have smaller hands, so they can work well with heavy machinery.
They
We
could they, they
gotta
could they could
like
they could
get that.
screw in the iPhones like they want them to.
Like they could. It's insane. It's insane that this even
Hmm.
made it this far. It's
It's like
crazy. It's crazy.
do state senators even work a 5 day work week?
I doubt it. Put like this too. Well, let's say this. Let's say this. A state senator's kid, I guarantee you they're not working until 9. You know what I mean? They have a private tutor. They like.
They got
It's
violin class and
ridiculous.
piano class after school, and they're
They got
getting their,
violin
their
class.
catered dinner.
Yeah, we're not just talking about karate. We're talking about violin.
That's crazy. No, I agree. Yeah, that's it's max hypocrisy, and like if this is their solution, like Tommy's saying, that's sad. It reminds me of Mao, but I won't lie about that one. Not too crazy, but I mean, it's like God dang, some of these Republicans, like Trump's trying to give a bailout to the farmers right now because of the tariffs, and it's just doing some communist stuff around here, some socialist stuff.
you know,
When they all hated it, when they said don't elect Joe Biden, he's gonna do socialism.
someone should ask, like, but like really, like, are Republicans in favor of child labor?
Dude, like
Like,
most, I do get it. There's a lot of people on like a lot of people on both sides. I know that work more than 5 days a week, but that doesn't mean that like everyone should or you should do it for the rest of your life. That's just not sustainable. Um,
and they're not a kid.
exactly.
Like,
So I mean, we like a 5 day work week. We should respect our labor laws and understand. I'm not really like I don't know, try to take advantage of them and our people. That's it for
you
me on this
have
one.
anything more to add on this?
Yeah, I'm good if
Yeah.
you want to go to
So
national too.
yeah. So for our second national topic, this one was like, oh my god, this one came across my phone, and I was like, I need like I may have to have a padded room installed when I read this one. Like it is crazy what's been going on in this country right now. And this headline was just like it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that this is the path. This is the sort of things that we're engaging in, and this is the sort of things that our leaders, you know, um deem important, and the type of hatred that they spew. So anyway, so National Park removes free admission for MLK Juneteenth, add Trump's birthday. So for 2026, the National Park Service removed Martin Luther King Day and Juneteenth from the list of fee-free entry days across U.S. national parks. In their place, MPS added June 14th, which is Flag Day, but also the birthday of Trump, as a resident-only patriotic fee-free day, which I had no idea that you could make the fact that the National Park Service is allowing people in for free. I didn't know you could make that sound authoritarian. But resident only patriotic fee free day. Like they managed to turn like, hey, you get into the national park for free. They managed to turn that into an authoritarian sounded. things. It's crazy. So
ROPFFD.
resident only patriotic fee-free day. So other resident only patriotic fee-free days include President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, the weekend, Independence Day weekend, 110th birthday of the National Park Service, Constitution Day, President Theodore Roosevelt's birthday, and Veterans Day. So, also, of course, beginning in 2026, this new resident only designation is going to be taking place. So before this, so only U.S. citizens and permanent residents starting in 2026 will be able to go into the National Park Service on these fee-free days. The change also coincides with other proposed changes in the fee structure, including higher fees or surcharges for foreign visitors. So, yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. So, like, I think this just truly shows, sort of the amount of respect that the Trump regime, has for, people of color and people that have contributed actively to our society. And in fact, he views them, with so much disdain that he took them out, a day that recognizes them and their accomplishments and the accomplishments of Martin Luther King Jr. and the ending of slavery and substitute it with his own birthday. You know, it's just absolutely crazy to me, and it's so juvenile. That's what's so crazy about it too. There's nothing politically smart about this. There's nothing advantageous about this. It's just something that something a juvenile would do. It's my birthday. Fair, it's also Flag Day, but we all know Donald Trump's administration is doing this because it's his birthday. He's like, it's my birthday. I don't
Yeah.
really care about these quote unquote woke holidays that celebrate things that are important in the United States that I don't think probably happens to care about, if I'm being honest. He's going to substitute these important things for his birthday. It's disgusting. It's shocking, and it truly is ridiculous. And then the headline itself, like I was saying, it truly shows the ridiculousness of the Trump administration. So
Agreed, and that show got
crazy what's
canceled
going
this year, so that kind of shows that maybe Trump will get canceled this year. That Ridiculousness was a show on MTV. Sorry, I had to, but I agree, man. It's freaking crazy. And it's kind of interesting to me, the resident-only designation. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
are they trying to bait people into the parks? Are they gonna try to like make it where like no matter what, when you go into the park, you have to show them an ID or a facial scan, and then if you're an immigrant, you get taken by ICE in a bus, and a van pulls up. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting on that aspect. For losing MLK Day and Juneteenth is sad. It kind of shows how Trump is. He could have just made it more. He didn't have to take some stuff away, but you know how he is, so it's sad. MLK definitely needs remembered, and definitely Juneteenth. So
Absolutely.
this shows
It's
how Trump's
disgusting.
crazy to me.
Disgusting regime does disgusting things.
No.
Like, welcome to the Week Ahead News Show.
Yeah, that's how it's gonna be pretty much the whole time. All right. Anything else before we go on to our next topic? No biggie.
No, I got nothing more to say on that. It speaks for itself. It's disgusting.
All right, make sure you drop a like. This next one's a little bit not too deep, but just real quick. The Trumbull County dog warden's thinking of resigning. I kind of wanted to bring this up because the last county commissioners always had issues with a dog warden. Certain county commissioner we won't talk about because I don't want to get no beef. I don't want beef, but it's interesting. The county's executive chief dog warden, Michelle Goss, who served in the role for 12 years, sent a letter this week stating she intends to resign. While she hasn't filed a formal letter of registration yet. This also happened yesterday, so maybe today and this week will be a little bit different. County HR officials say she could submit it as soon as this weekend, so there we go. Could be already in. In response, the county commissioners have already posted job openings, not only for the chief warden, but also for assistant to help hand over a kennel's workload. for an assistant, which is funny. They'll get you an assistant after you say you're gonna quit. Some jobs be like that sometimes. They're like, oh, we had an issue with how much work you had to do. It's just crazy. Why it matters for self-restraint and a transition challenge. The kennel has faced recent internal issues, including staff disciplinary actions and demotions, which county officials hit may have contributed to her departure. Losing a longtime chief warden is more than a personal change. It could disrupt current efforts to relocate or upgrade the shelter and potentially slow down adoptions or animal care operations, depending how those operations and businesses ran, especially during colder winter months. All the events that ran, stuff like that. The timing makes it extra tricky. With a new shelter project on the horizon, the county will need a dedicated, experienced replacement to keep things on track. Hopefully, the assistant could help with that as well. If I was the county, though, a lot of times, you kind of need to appoint transition people, or if you have a big project, you need to appoint someone just to manage that project as a whole, and report back to you. County reaction to what they're saying. County Commissioner Rick Hernandez called for Goss's possible resignation unfortunate and praised her use of service to the community and animals. Commissioners say they were surprised by her decision. Meetings with Goss suggested that she would stay or until a replacement was found. For a sudden shift, they say, throws a wrench into the planned kennel operations, but that's how work is sometimes. Maybe she got a better opportunity or was just tired working there. That's America. We got free will. But county promises a quick hiring process for pay for the chief dog warding is listed at $28.75 an hour, so $28.25 an hour. That's kind of crazy. And the assistant at $26.28 an hour, full time. So that's interesting as well. As for chief dog warden, you only make $2 more than your assistant, so that's fun. What happens now and what to watch for? Applications for both positions are being accepted through December 19th, 2025. Commissioner Rick Hernandez says they hope to have someone in place soon to avoid service disruptions. The county also said even though Goss might resign her official duties, she may remain involved in an advisory role, which would be good, possibly easing the transitioning and preserving institutional knowledge, which is always good to see. A lot of times you see this in city or county positions. I kind of always like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's kind of it for me. I kind of only, like I said, our last county commissioners had issues. Some of them did, and now we have all these Republicans in our county commissioners, and she's just done with it. So I'm not surprised. It's kind of my take on it. I'm weird. I kind of think we need to fund these dog wardens a little bit more, and I think the cities need to have their own too. Because even I go to dog council meetings, there's always old people. There's too many cats and skunks. Well, the county gets screwed because it's Warren, Girard. There's so many big cities in this county that they have to take care of. Howland, Hubbard. It's just insane. So sometimes the cities need to spend money too, and that's kind of something I always like to talk about. Back in the day, we did spend more tax money. People don't like hearing that, but that tax money as a whole sometimes would go to a city dog warden that you would always see around. So a lot of times you pay more, you get more city services. So that's it for me. How do you feel about this one, Tommy?
No, just briefly, I agree with you. I think we need to fund, the dog warden services for animals born in this county. It's been something that they've been talking about for quite a while, expanding the dog warden, the dog kennel, etc. Right now their space is pretty limited. That they're pretty reliant upon outdoor space that they can't use for a good chunk of the year. So I know they have a lot of challenges, in that specific county department that need to be addressed, and then they largely, just need the money to do so. And I know there's been lots of different endeavors to try to make things better. So, no, hopefully they're able to find a new person to be the dog warden, and they're able to transition into that role effectively and provide good services for the animals in the county. So,
And that's
yep,
interesting, Tommy, because a big shout out too to a lot of these organizations and businesses that are
yeah,
involved. There's Healthy Paws Project, AWL, all these places around here that help out a lot too. Because I think the county dog warden only has 30 internal shelters for
yeah,
animals.
it's not a lot. Yeah,
So a lot of times they get help from these other people, and it's interesting too. When you see this in government, we less money in taxes in one area. That service gets taken away, gets privatized, and that's good. But now we have 5 companies all trying to do the same thing, and we still have a lot of animals in the street. When it's that could be in the government, and maybe it's going to be ran more efficient. People don't like hearing that because they think the government's
Right.
less efficient. But I'm sorry, 5 businesses trying to talk to each other do the same thing. It's less efficient. And then two, we see that these private companies, you have to pay money, which is fine. Like if I'm getting a dog, I understand. If I'm going to Angels, it's gonna be like 150 or a dog, cat, services, all that stuff. But like if it was a county, it's gonna be free. It might be $50, it might be $25. It's gonna be way less than these private services too. So
Right.
you get subsidized that as for taxpayer as well. So that's something that maybe we
Yeah.
should try to shift more to.
You may actually want to have a fee though for an adoption, even at the county level, to ensure that people adopting the animals are doing so for a right reason and have the resources to afford that animal. Like
I agree, but like I
you
also
know,
I also think that could be fixed with like computing. You know what I mean? If you're like, oh, this person's adopting their third cat this week, maybe something's sus. You know what I mean? If they're adopting their third dog in a year,
yeah,
maybe don't adopt it to them. Which you could easily do. You know what I
right,
mean? Just have to ID someone to get a dog, and it makes sense because like if it's city based too, a lot of the times like I'm not gonna give someone from Warren a dog from Gerard if Warren also has a good dog kennel. But that's also another hard thing. So definitely interesting. But I definitely agree with you, and I kind of get what you're saying. A lot of times, like it's like for medicine's pricey now too. Back in the day, they weren't giving
yeah.
all these animal surgeries and shots, but that's different. I'm good to go on a national free with Tommy.
Vets make a lot of money. They have a good profession.
They
It's just
do, they do. I know that, and I know like Angels, some of these other places they make less, but it all depends. Like it's interesting.
yeah. So I just wanted to briefly talk about this last national news topic because I think it was important. So the Supreme Court revives the Texas GOP friendly congressional map. Boo. So in mid 2025, as we talked about, Texas lawmakers approved a new congressional map, a mid-decade redistricting plan designed to increase Republican-friendly districts. Under the plan, Republicans could hold up to 30 of 38 congressional seats, up from 25. The plan aimed to flip up to 5 Democratic-held seats by redrawing lines in coalition districts heavily represented by minorities. Civil rights groups and voting rights advocates challenged the map in federal court, arguing it constituted a racial gerrymandering, discrimination by race, violating the Constitution and the rights of Black and Latino voters. On November 18th, the 3-judge panel in El Paso blocked the map. The panel concluded that there was evidence that the map diluted minority voting power. On December 4th, the Supreme Court issued an unsigned order revising reversing the lower court's block, allowing Texas to proceed. The court's majority said that the lower court improperly inserted itself into an active primary campaign, arguing that the ruling disrupted the balance between state and federal control of elections. In a concurring opinion, several conservative justices acknowledges Texas's goal was partisan advantage, pure and simple, but said partisan motives are permissible under existing precedent. Dissent. So the court's 3 liberals just dissented. Justice Elena Kagan wrote the dissent, and said the decision just serves millions of Texans. Yeah, so this is just sort of another sort of crusade on this is another chapter in the crusade against voting rights in the United States of America. And certainly, if you want to talk locally, we're certainly seeing that in Ohio. So we've seen over the course of the past several years, provisions in the Voting Rights Act, being struck down, and now we're seeing, in just in a blatant attempt to deprive Black and Latino voters, and also, help the Republican Party. They're engaging in a racial gerrymander that the Supreme Court is seemingly allowing. So, no, I just think
Hmm.
it's completely sort of disgusting that we're seeing this sort of retreat away from provisions in the Voting Rights Act, and provisions in the larger in the larger jurisprudence that surrounds the drawing of fair and ethical districts. It's something that gravely concerns me. Now, luckily here, um, we have that California initiative that passed this year to sort of counteract this, and I think I may even have said at the time that, um, the Supreme Court very well may revive this Texas map. So, you know, it's just disheartening to see this retreat from voting rights. But luckily, at the very least, we do have this California map that's going to help um, offset things, and also we have the fact that going into next year, what Donald Trump is doing is just incredibly unpopular. So it's going to be incredibly difficult. That's why the Republicans are pulling out all these dirty tricks out of their hat, is because they are concerned. They know what Donald Trump's doing is unpopular, and um, hopefully next year, efforts like these maps, will prove unsuccessful just based on the fact that people don't like what's going on in this country. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. It's bad that we're retreating from voting rights. And hopefully, the midterm elections next year produce favorable results despite schemes like this that Texas Republicans and Republicans more broadly are launching.
Yeah, agreed. It's sad that like every week we're kind of talking about different stuff now that's attacking voting rights, but that's the Trump administration. But we'll keep talking about it because people need to get educated about it and actually vote against it. So, but I'm not surprised. Texas. They have had a more growing rapid and black population there in certain areas like Houston. So obviously, like, I feel like they're gonna attack them. Especially in politics now. We're seeing Texas used to be a all white state, and now we got people like Jamie Crockett who's very vocal. So it's sad, but that's the Republican way. That's probably it for me on that one. Any other input on that?
Yeah, no, it's just sad that the state of democracy in the United States right now is that legislators in Texas are willing to redraw their maps halfway through the 10-year cycle to disadvantage minority voters, all to um, help Donald Trump. It's truly sad. So,
Agreed.
and we got to fight against it, and we got to get good justices on the Supreme Court, and just justices and judges in general that actually support fundamental rights, including voting rights and the right to live in a congressional map that is not gerrymandered all hell. So
Yep, and we're seeing it time and time and place again. Indiana, another place. Indianapolis, a place that's one of the blue areas. They basically gerrymandered it to 6 places. So definitely look into it as more as well, because it's happening in a ton of states, like we're saying. Missouri, North Carolina, it's sad, but it's a Republican way.
yeah.
That's it. Stay woke to this stuff. We'll be back here next week, 8:30 for 41. Jackie's number. We'll be here for Northeast Ohio Sports Show here this Thursday, which will be great. Had some great sports happening last week in terms of F1. Ohio State lost, which sucked, but they still got the bye for college football. They're number 2, so not the worst. Browns suck, but we already knew that, so we'll talk about that a little bit more on Thursday. That's it for me. I hope everyone has a great night, great rest of your week so we can get through it. That's it. Good night, Youngstown.
Have a good night, everybody.